The man serving life for the murder of schoolgirl Millie Dowler has confessed to killing mother and daughter Lynn and Megan Russell, a lawyer has said. Another man, Michael Stone, has twice been found guilty of the murders of Miss Russell and her 6-year-old daughter in Kent back in July 1996. His solicitor says he has now received a statement written by Levi Bellfield, which details the killings. Stone was also found guilty of trying to murder Megan's sister Josie. He has always protested his innocence. Well, I'm pleased to say we can speak now to Mark McDonald, who is a barrister who's represented Michael Stone for more than 21 years. Good morning.
Morning.
So tell us, first of all, what do we know about this statement from Levi Bellfield?
Okay, so the statement has been some time in coming. He wrote to the legal team just before lockdown one, and I went with my solicitor to visit him at the prison, and he wanted to assist in our investigation. And since that time, there's been 3 visits, and over that time, he's been giving us bits of information about how he committed this awful crime. And that, of course, landed up with the full statement which we took from him. And that statement was never meant to be actually out there in the press, but it was leaked to the Sun. It was meant to go straight to the CCRC. So I'm afraid it was a bit of a curveball weekend. We didn't expect to be talking about the case so soon. But yes, it's a
What?
full confession.
Sorry, why do you feel that it's genuine?
First of all, it fits his MO. Levi Bellfield is an awful character, a serial killer that attacked women, lone women, using blunt objects like hammers to hit them over the head and murder them. And in the statement, he details what he did, what he said, what they said. The fact that sadly he was not going to go, or I say sadly, the whole thing is just tragic, an awful case. But sadly, he went for the children, not wanting to, he says, but initially going simply for the adult, the mother. But because they started to cry out, he wanted to silence them. So the whole thing is just a terrible read of a confession from an awful man that gives, as I say, step-by-step detail of what he did.
The Times is reporting today that detectives have called for caution, saying that, as you say, that Levi Bellfield, he's a manipulative narcissist. One source told The Times he goes quiet for a couple of years and pops up again because he enjoys the limelight.
The difficulty is, first of all, one has to go step with caution any statement from the Kent police. The Kent police are not objective in this. Remember that the first conviction was quashed because of an allegation that one witness, one of the primary witnesses in the case, came forward and said pressure had been put upon him by the Kent police to lie. And that overturned that first conviction. That was the reason why it was quashed. And there was a huge inquiry into the conduct of the Kent police. So and since that time, I have to say they've been incredibly unhelpful. They lost the lace that was the main exhibit for 10 years. They denied even having it in the first place. Eventually, they found it in the basement in a box. So we've been able to have it forensically examined. So we do not want anything from the Kent police anymore. We want this to be dealt with by another police force and the Met Police Force. So I'd ask you to approach anything that comes from the Kent police with a certain amount of caution.
You talk about that shoelace that was lost, and you say that now tests have been carried out on it. Can you tell us anything about that?
What they've been able to do is get fragments of DNA. And I say fragments, as you know, a full profile is quite compelling evidence. Fragments from it can sometimes be used to convict a person. Analysis is continuing. We're hoping that we can get our own people to look at it. One of the problems with where we are in our criminal justice system is that the only way we can get to the Court of Appeal, the only way we can return this to the Court of Appeal is through a statutory body called the Criminal Cases Review Commission. They are incredibly under-resourced, and don't have the staff to look at it. So in 2017, when I put in the initial submissions that were made by Levi Bellfield, this time to another prisoner, it took them years simply to come back to me. and effectively say that we don't believe Levi Bellfield made this confession. Now, of course, we have a written statement from him saying that he did.
Why do you think he is talking now? If Levi Bellfield is telling the truth, why do you think he's speaking now?
There could be a number of reasons why. I mean, it could be that he's completely lying and he's a narcissist and he's made the whole thing up. It could be because he is the murderer and he sees somebody else in prison for a crime that he committed, and the fact that he will never be released from prison, and he wants to get these matters off the chest. I should say that this is not the only thing that he has confessed to, and I understand the police are going to go in and see him in relation to other matters he has confessed to as well. So this is a tip of the iceberg when it comes to this man and the awful crimes that he's committed in the past.
What's been the reaction from Michael Stone to all of these statements coming from Levi Bellfield?
So I speak to him most days, and I spoke to him yesterday. It's one of optimism, but he's been here before. Remember, I say his legal team say that, and he says he's innocent. There was no forensic evidence, no identification evidence. The only evidence they have is from one witness who said that he confessed to him through a pipeline in a prison joining two cells. The whole thing relies upon that confession, to which that person has said, I lied, I didn't tell the truth. So it's wholly unreliable now. But we can't get back in front of the judges because the CCRC won't refer it. So he's been here before many times. So yes, it's one of optimism, one of hope, but also one of self-control, because he knows that he could again face another door slammed in his face. The man spends each and every day sitting in his cell, reading the statements, reading all the evidence to try and find a way to prove his innocence. He refuses to have any engagement with the parole board, with the probation services. He won't be recategorized in prison. He maintains a category A prisoner. He won't be paroled, even though the tariff in his sentence finishes this year. He won't leave prison because he won't engage, because to do so, on his view, is an admission to this crime.
So tell us what happens now.
So the statement will go back in before the CCRC, but we are really concerned whether or not the CCRC are now fit for purpose to be able to deal with this matter. Their test is too rigid and wrong for it to be sent back to the Court of Appeal. So the discussion that we're having is whether or not we circumvent the CCRC and go straight to the court and say that they must see this now and look at this new evidence, this fresh evidence, and take a view on it. So there will be developments this week, a decision as to whether to go to the CCRC and wait again for them simply to apply a test that's incorrect and dismiss it, or as they say, go straight to the Court of Appeal and say they must need to look at this as a matter of urgency, because on our view, an innocent man is in prison and has been for 25 years.
Mark McDonald, thank you for your time this morning. I do hope you'll come back on and speak to us again, as there are more developments in that case. He's a barrister who's represented Michael Stone for more than 21 years.